Hello and welcome to another episode of Mad Dialogue with me, Michelle.
And me,
I
Skylar.
hope everybody is doing really, really well. Before we get going, I just want to say welcome to our new subscribers. Welcome to the Mad family. We are so happy to have you. There was something, the other thing is, for the foreseeable, we will be joining you guys fortnightly purely because we both have obligations elsewhere that we need to fulfill. We will return to doing weekly episodes, but in the meantime, there will be fortnightly. So, having said that, let's continue with this week's episode. So, as usual, me just on social media, excuse me, this was actually YouTube. And I came across a couple who had a young baby. They suffered with a condition called osteogenesis imperfecta. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, because if you've been following us for a minute, you know what I'm like. When I want to say osteogenesis imperfecta, so we'll try it both ways. But basically, it's a brittle bone disease. It's a genetic disorder causing fragile bones that fracture easily due to defective collagen production. Some of the other symptoms are bone deformities, short stature. The whites of the eyes appear blue, purple, or grey. It's called blue sclera. Dental issues, hearing loss, and other is like hypermobile joints, low muscle tone, and bruising. And so they basically, like I said, they had a child, but it wasn't a planned pregnancy.
Okay.
And when they posted up their happy news on social media, they received a lot of negative comments, such as, they're selfish for having a child. And, negative comments, basically. So that's what got me asking the question, is it right for people that are not completely able? Like, I'm really choosing my words here. Here's the reason why. Because I am Gen X. Yeah. Okay. Because I always have to wonder. Yeah. Gen X. Yeah. That's a generation where we just speak our mind. We just, you know what I mean? We just speak our mind at the end of the day. Nowadays, that is not politically correct. And so I do pause just to choose my words carefully. So basically, they were saying that because even though they are physically impaired, they do not feel that they themselves are suffering in any way. So who is anybody to tell them about bringing a child into the world? And I do hasten to add that the child had the condition. She didn't appear to have it as bad, but she did have it nevertheless. The woman said that they can change her nappy, they can feed her, they can do all of that. However, her partner, he did say the bigger she gets, the harder it is. So what's your views on it, Skylar?
See, so I feel like with situations like this, it's like a lot of the time I feel like I always say this about other situations, you can't really say anything unless you've like done it yourself, or like you actually are clued up. But just from like obviously the outside perspective that I have, when I have seen like this couple in particular, sometimes, not all the time, but these people need assistance themselves. They need caregivers themselves. They need people to do things for them. Now, if what they're saying is true, that like they can do everything they need to do for their daughter, they can feed her, they can change her, all of that, then that's fine. But what I just worry about is, as he said, like when she gets older, it's going to be more difficult. There's just so many things that can go wrong when you have children anyways, just anybody in the world, that I just think, why would you want to, because they're both in wheelchairs, am I correct?
Yeah.
Why would you want to make life harder for yourself, all for the sake of like saying, yeah, like we have a child, you know what I mean? Because if like she gets older and like she, I don't know, is trying to play or whatever, and she drops off of something or whatever, can either one of them go over and pick her up?
That's the thing.
They can't. Like, and obviously there's so many things that could happen to, you know, any family, you know what I mean? But it's just that added risk factor because they're both not as able bodies as the average person, because that I just think it is maybe just a little bit selfish. You know what
every time the baby was shown, neither one of them was physically holding the baby. Now, don't get me wrong. Yeah, the baby was laying on the bed or whatever, and they were showing the baby nothing but love and affection. So
I'm not saying like they're not good parents.
Adds to your point what you're saying. Yeah, for real, because there's able-bodied people that still don't do for their children. Yeah. They feed themselves and don't feed their children. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I hear that. So on another note, now there was another let's just say then the person in question is able-bodied, yeah, but they have mental disabilities. So say like, you know, okay, once again, I'm having to watch my words. They're slow. You know, like Forrest Gump. Yeah.
Okay, see with that, okay, Forrest seemed to be doing all right. So
no, but that's because his mum would not allow him to be treated like he was below average. Do you know what I mean?
I just think it should be based on the thing of like, if you can't, I don't even know what, like, because obviously brains work in so many different ways, and sometimes people can be like not as capable in one sort of like aspect of life, but in another they excel like crazy. So I was going to use a term like, if somebody can't, like, I don't know, so to speak, like have the cognitive skills to tie their own shoelaces properly, and they have to always use Velcro, then maybe they shouldn't, like, you know, maybe like a person who's at that level of learning, maybe they wouldn't be able to take care of a child. But also I can't say that for sure. Maybe they take to taking care of a human being better than they do tying their shoes, because it's a different part of their brain. But I do just think, all in all, if somebody requires assistance from another human being to live their life, then they themselves shouldn't be a caregiver of the human being. I think that's like, should, you know what I mean? Like, I think if you need help with things, then you shouldn't.
No, I hear what you're saying, but isn't it then fair to say that these same said people want to have the right to live how they choose to live, and so therefore they want to experience the same things
that
everybody else experiences. But do you know what I mean? And who are we to say then
that they can't? And I hear that.
Do you know what I mean?
But I think that's where
because is a caregiver to them any different to a grandparent looking after their grandchild for them? Do you know what I mean?
But this is the thing. But my thing is, I think, yeah, if you can't, like, let's say, like, okay, I could get pregnant, have a baby right now, and yeah, cool, like I have my support system. But if it came down to it, I could take care of a child on my own, you know what I mean? Through and through, day in, day out. Yeah, maybe might have to go on Google and search a few questions, but I could take care of a child, yeah? From somebody else's life will have to be affected from you making a decision for having a child, because they're going to have to assist you in any way. It's not the same as a grandparent looking after a child, because without the grandparent, you still could.
See, know what I mean? There's the other side to it, whereby because, you know, with a lot of physical disabilities that are long-term, that are genetic, that you're born with, whatever, the age that you will live for is reduced in some respects. Okay, so then that child who also inherited your condition is then going to become, I don't mean to be dread, but a burden to a family member. And if the family member doesn't want to take on the responsibility, then that means that child's going to go into care. And I think that's but then again, you know, a person able-bodied could pass away tomorrow, and then that's the same thing for that child.
So that the risk is higher.
It's that thing, isn't it?
But I just think, like, yeah, I think obviously if, like, there's people who have disabilities who decide that they want to start a family and they have a support system, whether that's somebody who's hired to take care of them, or mother, father, grandparents, or whatever, who were like, yeah, let's do this, and the child is like in a safe environment and all of that, then I don't think it should matter. I think, yeah, if people have the support system and they know what they're capable of and what they're not, and who can step up to do those things for them, then I don't see a reason why they shouldn't. However, I think, yeah, because I've watched, like, movies, I've also watched interviews of people. There has been situations where somebody with, let's say, Down syndrome has decided they want to start a family, and like their mother's like, no, because I still have to help you with all of this, and then I'm going to have to, you know, step in with the child. Then I think, yeah, in them situations it should be strongly considered. But I do think, because they are also grown adults, if it's within a situation where, I think, yeah, just as long as the child actually has something set up, because I feel like, like, you know, you can't say until you're there. But I just think my concern is a child, nothing more, nothing less, you know what I mean? So if it's not going to affect that child's life in a negative way, then I don't see an issue with it. But also, I also think, like, yeah, like there's some people who have like small amounts of certain what do you call them, like illnesses in them, that they say, I will never have kids because I don't want to pass this on to my children. Yeah. So that is the aspect that I do think is a bit cool. You can say yourself, you don't feel like you've suffered in any way, or you don't live a hard life, but I just don't think it's fair to knowingly bring a child into this world knowing that they're going to have a condition. And maybe that's just coming from somebody who doesn't have one.
Me
and I
personally,
know what life is like,
me personally, I'm not, and once again, this is my own thing. Yeah. If I had a condition and there was a chance that I'm going to pass it on to my child, then yeah, that would be a reason why I wouldn't do it. But if I was physically disabled in some way, shape or form, but I wasn't going to pass the condition on to my child, and then I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and if you know you have like a system set up where you know this could work, then most definitely. But I just think, like, even if, as I said, like them themselves, they can say they haven't suffered. Just I'd like to think, like, how many times have you had to do hospital trips in your lifetime compared to, let's say, me, for instance, who doesn't have something wrong? That's not a life to be living, you know what I mean? And it is just, I think, stop, having children is selfish though, babe. We're not even going to get into that.
In this day and age, yeah, most definitely. That. But like, there was a woman that I saw, and she had no arms, and she used her feet.
Yeah.
And she had a baby, and I was in awe of the woman.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I could barely walk on my feet sometimes without tripping up, much less to be doing everything that she, cooking, clean. Like, are you for real? But
this is the thing, but in that's
all that she knows.
Yeah.
So therefore, she herself will see no reason why she couldn't. She shouldn't. And you know what I mean?
And I think, and I love that, you know what I mean? Because as I said, if she can get on with it and she could still live and take care of that child and herself.
No, man, seriously, when I was watching her, when
you know
she
what
was,
I mean?
I swear she was peeling a potato or cutting an onion, something like that, yeah. And I was like, yo, I would have cut myself 10 times already.
But this is the thing. So I think it all obviously just depends. And then once again, also, like, you know, it's an opinion, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, people are still going to go on and do what they want to do. They're adults, you know what I mean? But just from my perspective, like, it never comes from a place as well where, because I know, like, and this is the thing, and this might reach wrong people, and people might look at it as like, maybe like I'm being like ableist when I'm saying what I'm saying. But if you really listen, like, my concern is just for the children, you know what I mean? And I think, yeah, like, if they can do it, and if them and their children are going to be okay and happy and safe and healthy and all of the above, then seriously, why not? But I just think there are some circumstances where people should really just put aside their wants for a second and just think logically, hey, is this in the best interest for me and mine? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was surprised that her little body was able to carry a baby.
This is the thing, because even that itself.
This is the thing. So the human body is just a miracle in and of itself.
Most definitely.
So therefore, sometimes when people believe in themselves that they have the capabilities to do certain things, who are we to tell them?
Yeah, that too. Know? This is the thing. And like, God forbid, but until you hear anything bad has actually happened, it is just that, you know what I mean? It's just a couple that had a baby.
Let's be for real, yeah. An able-bodied person could drop their child just as easy on their head as those people.
At least they can pick them up after they drop them.
Yeah, but still, the damage is already done. Is the point that I'm making? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I'm not saying
and you know, go back and forth.
Yeah, but like, this is what I'm saying. But the risks are higher if we did it like probability wise. The risks are higher. You know what I mean? So that's my only thing. But once again, like, they probably have all of their things in order. You know what I mean? They thought about this before the baby was here. All of that. So.
No, because they must have went to like one little sip. Well, it wasn't a sip and paint, but they were painting, and they were there going on. But this was a bit that made me a bit. Whoa! They were on the road. you know, when they're sort of down on the side of the road, but they were both in their wheelchairs, but the baby was in the buggy and she was pushing the buggy as the wheelchair was going. Do you know what I mean? They were doing their thing. So respect to them at the end
for
of
real,
the day.
because yeah, it's a mad one.
But I think we'll leave it here this week. I keep seeing a wasp trying to get in my window, and I'm kind of getting a bit. Where you going?
Okay.
So I think we'll leave it here this week. As always, I am sending an abundance of love and light. And until next episode, it's goodbye from me, Michelle, and goodbye from Skylar.
Bye.
Bye.